Welcome to 10 Questions, 10 Minutes with The Real Wine Show, where we do a quick and irreverent interview with some of the most fascinating people in the wine industry.
We sit down with world-famous winemakers, importers, industry folks, collectors, and everyday consumers, providing an intimate and insightful look into wine culture.
Constantin Richter, welcome to The Real Wine Show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's great to have you on. It's good to see you again. If you recall, I think it was a couple of years ago, 23. We had a little tasting in Ann Arbor.
Was it 23? Last year or 23?
Was it? Yeah, not too long ago.
Yeah.
I remember Adam remembered it was Napa Cabs.
Napa Cabs, which were actually not too bad, which surprised me.
And that's exactly why when Adam called me, I said, I remember Constantin was very opinionated. He'd be great on the show. So respect to Adam Mahler for getting us together. And you're in the middle of or towards the end of a U.S. tour right now. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Okay. And it's been a couple of weeks.
Doing roughly 3 weeks in a couple of different markets, New York, and mainly the Midwest.
Okay.
Actually.
Good, and it's been good. I mean, any
so
problems
far
with?
Was very positive, yes, despite all the challengings going on internally and externally.
Yeah, well, I apologize for that. That's an American problem. But we are here and enjoying the show, and I want to say too, it's quite an honor to sit down with you too, to be part of such a long legacy. I mean, you're 10th generation with the
10th generation of the family.
What an amazing, heritage, amazing legacy. So. Thanks for taking the time to sit down with us here. So, okay, well, let's jump into it and ask the first question. And I'm going to be trying out some of the German pronunciations, so feel free to correct me as they needed. But my first question is, Grach or Velin?
Grach or Velin?
Grach or Velin, yeah.
Good question. Most people would probably say Velin because it's definitely the most famous one of the two. It's the more mythical one and really outstanding wines.
Yeah.
Always very distinct. But for me, I would say Grach, especially Himmelreich.
Uh-huh.
So one of the three main Grach appellations or single vineyards, because it's always a little bit more wild, a little bit more edgy than Velin. Velin is a little bit softer, more precise, but very predictable, which, I mean, for terroir,
for winemaking is a good thing, yeah.
It's a good thing. But Himmelreich is a little bit more unpredictable, a little bit more wild. So I find it's a little bit more interesting.
Cool.
In some vintages, at least.
Okay. But yeah, you did nail it. For me too, one of the first German wines that I had really attached to and really blew my mind was a Veltliner Sonnenur.
Yeah, it's regardless from which producer, the typicity is just the estate style is not as important as a vineyard with that vineyard. It's really amazing, regardless which producer you taste after at least 5-6 years when you lose the primary. It's so consistent, the flavor profile. It's very distinct, very easy to taste out, like a Mosel in Burgundy or something like that.
Wow,
so it's really amazing.
Yeah, okay. And then as a side question here, when do you think is the perfect time for drinking your Gracher Himmelreich?
Gracher Himmelreich, I would say at least school age, 5 to 6 years.
Okay, cool. All right. Our next question for you is the Romans or Napoleon?
Napoleon. I mean, the Romans broadened the wine growing on the Mosel, which was already there by the Germanic and Celtic tribes. Of course, they expanded it to supply their army.
Yeah.
But then after that, during the Middle Ages and everything, pretty much everything was owned by the church or feudal landowners. But of course, when Napoleon came over, he abolished all that. All the churches' estates were sold off.
Okay.
All the noble estates were dissolved and sold to private owners. So that really gave a kickstart to the growing wine region of Mosel, to the quality and the smaller estates. So that was really the turning point, I would say.
Okay.
But not only in Mosel, and pretty much everything west of the Rhine.
Yeah, during the Napoleonic era.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was also trying to get at I remember a story about
Elisenberg.
Elisenberg.
That's true. We also have a personal collection with Napoleon because we have a monopole vineyard, a Grand Cru vineyard, or a Große Lage. The Feldenzer Elisenberg, or just Elisenberg on the label, which we own because of Napoleon, because it was a gift to my 4 times great-grandfather Franz Ludwig in 1815 by the local population as an act of gratitude, because he saved my hometown from being burned and sacked by Napoleon and his army in 1813 by bribing him off. So it was not that heroic. He just bribed him off.
No, but Constantin, that is one of my favorite wine stories, I think, of all time. I think that's just super fascinating. It's just a really an intense picture into into warfare, into history. It's just amazing. So I love that story. Our next question for you is WRC, so World Rally Championship Racing, or Formula One racing?
Actually, none of those.
None.
I'm really not into racing sports.
Okay.
More like football or soccer, as you call it here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we have the...
What's your team?
Bayern Munich.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So I think the WRC that sometimes have like laps in our region, which I hate because they go through the vineyards and then I cannot go into my vineyard for a whole day, which is ridiculous. And of course, they destroy everything if they crash into the vineyards, which had happened before.
Yeah, that's what I had in mind. I've seen some pictures recently. I think a car went off somewhere in the Mosel or something.
I haven't quite like regularly.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not really into motorsports.
Okay, but a football guy. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Our next question is legacy or tradition?
Both, I would say. I think it's difficult to put apart. I mean, because you can't have legacy without tradition, I would say. Mm-hmm. And there is no tradition without legacy, so it both depends on each other. I mean, it's always something you build upon and you work with. I mean, you have to work on it. It's not just something you take for granted. You have to transport it and maintain it.
Do you feel, maybe in one way, do you feel like a little more burden of either, say, tradition? From what I know about your winemaking, I would say no. You don't feel a burden from like traditional winemaking practice, but do you feel like a burden of the heritage, of family heritage?
I mean, it's always a little bit more difficult if you take over an already existing vineyard because or winery, because you have a build-up customer structure, you have a brand image called that way, which people expect. You have your price range, everything is pretty much set, and you're building upon that. If you start at zero, you can just choose whatever you will. Yeah, it's just the Wild West. You just do. I'm doing that because of that. That's what I want to do. I start at zero, so that might be a little bit easier, especially at the beginning. But of course, you have to find your place and you have to get recognition. Whereas if you're already established, it's a little bit easier field, so you get a little bit leeway. I would say, like people say, okay, that's giving like 2-3 years. Okay, it has always been great, would probably be still great.
Right. Yeah. Okay, good. So you don't. It's not for you.
No,
it's not.
No,
it
not
doesn't
really.
keep you up at night thinking
not
about
really.
4 times great grandfather. No,
not really.
Okay, cool. USA or China?
For us, actually, the US market is still more important. China is growing. China used to be more unpredictable, but that leveled out. So both markets are now a little bit unpredictable, not because of the customers, but the circumventing or external conditions. It's a good question. I mean, China, of course, big opportunity, but very competitive, especially from wine. Inside, of course, you always have the issue with they might copy your product, which happened to us.
Is that still existing?
Yeah, it happened to us. Well, they copied our label for some French wine, which was really interesting.
Unreal.
But yeah, I mean, good thing about European Union, you can sue. But hard to say. I mean, based on the, like in general, probably in the next 20 years, it's probably China, just because of all the economical power.
Wow.
There.
Yeah.
Probably will overtake United States. Well, probably not for us. I'm not sure. We will see. Mm-hmm. But I think for the general wine world, although it's at the moment it's a little bit declining in China. At least the super expensive Burgundy and Bordeaux stuff. It's not that easy to sell anymore.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, that's very interesting. What about cork or screw cap?
Depends on the wine.
Because
it depends also on the winemaking. I mean, both closures have the advantages and disadvantages. I mean, especially everyday wines, doesn't make sense to use a cork because it's a natural product. It's regrowing, but it's a natural product. It needs some certain quality standards which you cannot get for a very low price.
At the correct price point for an everyday wine.
Yeah, exactly. So that makes sense, especially then. I mean, the ripening under both is different. I mean, they're both ripen, but I mean, with the screw cap, you just have the air, which is already in it. Yeah. And with the cork, you have a little bit more intake. Not much, but a little bit more. And of course, also the tannins out of the cork, which a lot of people forget. Yeah. Which is a very important thing, especially in red wines or higher quality dry whites. You need a little bit of this tannic influence, chemically seen.
Yeah, I did forget about that, but it makes sense. I mean, it's part of the wood. It would probably have tannin.
I mean, at the moment, I would say that depends on the wine. I mean, there have been trials to emulate that with the screw caps, like with they did some special inlays and some. Maybe in 10 years we just do screw caps because they can do the same. And of course,
so you're open to that kind of
I'm definitely open to that.
Okay.
If there's technology not a difference, I would be open to screw caps. Of course, it's aluminium, which is also very high energy usage, in contrast to just a tree which grows.
Sure.
But yeah, we'll see what the future holds for us. But I'm open in both ways.
Fascinating. That's great. Our next question for you is Tresterfleisch with Pinot Noir or Tertich with Riesling? And if you maybe explain briefly to our listeners what Tresterfleisch and Tertich are.
Both are local dishes. Tresterfleisch, Trester is a Markte Riesling. Okay. So it's just a spirit made from the pumice of the pressing.
Yeah.
And then the meat is soaked in it, marinated, so it tenders a little bit the meat. Which is a very classical thing, and you would never have Pinot Noir with that. You would actually drink Riesling with that.
Okay. Thank you for the correction.
And Tertich, how to translate that?
I don't know if there was like a mixed pot kind of a thing, almost like a hot pot type of a mixed dish with meat, potato.
Yeah, but it's technically leftovers. It's just like put everything in.
Yeah.
It's a very traditional dish, very easy to make, but if you do it right, it's fantastic because it's like simmering in the pot for hours and hours. It's really
a hearty, like a vineyard, like a traditionally.
Because you just put everything in, like leftovers. Of course, a lot of potatoes, maybe leftover meats.
Yeah,
and just put it in your small. You had like a metal can in a way you were carrying around where you had your food in, and then you would put it in the fire and heat it up for lunch.
Yeah, sounds cool.
Which can be very delicious, but it's a little bit more crude.
Okay.
I would say the Tresterfleisch, although it's Riesling instead of Pinot Noir.
Okay, so just switch it around. Well, that was a miss on our part. We learned a little bit about Mosel cuisine, though, so that's good. Number 8 question for you is Napa Cabernet Sauvignon or Bordeaux?
I'm very traditional, I would say, with Bordeaux, although we tasted a couple of Napa Cabs together.
Yeah, there were a few you like, I remember.
Yes, the mountain areas like the Dun Estate, where there's some outstanding wines, I have to say.
Yes, the Duns swept that tasting.
Yeah, really amazing wine. It's filigree, precise, elegant, not as jammy and powerful as we expect. Or what the common misconception is for a lot of Napa Cabs. But I would still stay with Bordeaux because I think it's a little bit more defined what you get. Napa Cab is a little bit more... Galactic Bungalow can be everything.
Sure. Do you have a favorite in Bordeaux?
Ooh.
Or just one that you find interesting, you enjoy? Like if you see it, that's something I like. If I'm going to have a little, maybe it's a splurge, I don't know.
Hard to say. Probably anything which is not heavy on Merlot. Because I'm not a big fan of Merlot.
Right. You want more acidity and freshness in the wine.
So mostly the Cabernet Sauvignon based. But not really a favorite producer because it's always... just whatever is there, depending on the vintage.
All right.
More open to that.
Our next question then, as we approach the end here, is city life or country life?
Definitely country life.
Yeah?
I mean, maybe that's because that's where I grew up, where I lived pretty much my entire life. But it's a little bit, it has its perks. I know, it's especially when you're young, it's not as great because you have to drive for everything, and especially in Germany, where nobody has a driver's license before age 18, or at least back when I was young. So we had to drive like half an hour to do anything. Nowadays it's a little bit easier with public transportation and everything, and I think driver's license is 16 or 17. But still country life, a little bit more quiet. It's a little more settled down, slowed down.
Sure.
It has definitely its perks.
Yes, and it's certainly beautiful too.
That's true, yeah.
So our final question then, this is something that I ask all of the guests on the show, is what is the most exciting wine to you right now? And that could be, Constantine, it could be your own wine, it could be something you've been tasting, however you want to interpret that.
Like a specific wine or a category?
No, it could be a category
Could be a category. Could be a category. Exciting. I mean, I would actually say the category which I've seen the most growth or leap in quality in the last 3 or 4 years would be German Chardonnay, actually.
Oh, really? Okay.
So that's
from which area? Like over
all over. I mean, mostly focused on the southern regions because they have so much enhancement in quality and also on stability. So like not just one good vintage, but like
what is the source of that? Do you think? Where does that quality improvement come from?
Experience and a little more openness. I would say, to French winemaking, or in general, a little more openness to other winemaking styles. So that's, I mean, of course, Riesling will be the greatest variety in Germany. I mean, it's just so amazing what you can do from bone dry sparkling to super sweet dessert.
Absolutely.
But I think there's actually, I mean, and everyone knows there's a German Pinot Noir miracle, or it's called in Germany the Pinot Wunder.
Oh, really? They are good.
Because they're very good. Like,
very good.
Now the same is now happening in a way with Chardonnay. Of course, on a much smaller scale, because to do really great Chardonnay, it's even more difficult to do really great Pinot Noir. But yeah, there's definitely some potential, but only if you like classical lean, high acidity, very dry ones.
Sure.
So,
which would seem to be on trend. So that's probably a great tip for our listeners. They can keep an eye out for some German Chardonnay. So good. Well, Constantin Richter, let me say thank you for coming out. I know you want to make the most of your last day here in Detroit anyway. And have a good trip. Finish up the trip.
Yes.
With much success. And then we'll see you next time.
Yes, definitely.
Hopefully in Germany, but maybe next time you're in town here.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. Thank you.
Perfect.